Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of This Week in Comics. My name is Yule, and in Berkeley, California, in Berkeley, California, I own Fantastic Comics. Let's get on with the top 5 comics we sold last week. Counting down from number 5, we have Avengers number 4. At number 4 this week, we have a debut. We have Joel Jones writing and drawing Catwoman number 1. This follows the wedding of Batman number 50. Coming in at number 3, we have Paper Girls number 22, continuing the Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang saga. At number 2, we have Ta-Nehisi Coates' first issue of Captain America number 1. And taking the top spot this week, I already mentioned it, Batman number 50, the wedding of Catwoman and Batman. Or is it? There were just too many comics to get through this week. These are the ones I read. First up this week, we have Batman number 50. This has been the long-awaited wedding issue of Batman and Catwoman. For those of you that don't know, the New York Times actually spoiled this issue beforehand, so we know whether or not this wedding does or does not happen. I'm not going to really tell you, but something maybe might slip. There is an ending to this story that wasn't spoiled within that newspaper article, but maybe some people online just finished off the job. I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was pretty good. I gotta admit, I didn't read it all the way through. I kind of just flipped in some of the prosier passages. But you get a pretty good idea of what's going on even if you just read it that way. It's pretty sentimental as far as the emotions between the two characters. They're writing like letters to each other, and that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of good art within. There's pinups by a lot of different people. I recommend this issue, and Tom King promises this is just the first half of his story, so we got another awesome 50 issues of Batman to look forward to. Next up this week, we have Unnatural number 1 by Mirko Andolfo. This is an Image comic book, and it is definitely for mature readers. In the very first scene, there is a sexual dream that our main character Leslie has. She is a pig. She's dreaming about a wolf, and in a world where there's a eugenics program, that ain't flying. Leslie's a millennial pig living in an anthropomorphic world. She works for a crocodile that makes her dress in scanty outfits, and she just wants this dream wolf. And in this world, you can't couple with a species other than your own. And not only that, they really are big on reproduction, and by 25, you're entered into a program to hook up with a mate. I enjoyed this story. I thought it was really good. The artwork was excellent, and although I'm not a big fan of anthropomorphics, this was a pretty good book, and I'll probably check out the second issue too. So, Unnatural number 1 is definitely a book if you're looking for something different. Next up this week, we have Captain America number 1, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates and drawn by Francis Leinileu. Leinileu's illustrations in this book is fantastic, and I personally wasn't worried about Coates writing this book other than the fact that Black Panther bores me. But this one does not, because there's a lot of good action and there's actually some story. Thunderbolt Ross makes an appearance in this book. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, is in this book. And man, Coates really seems to know what's going on. I really, really like this book and can't wait to get the second issue. The thing about this book is that it is trying to not ignore, but kind of recorrect the Captain America character. You see, the thing is that when Secret Empire ended, there was a brand new Captain America made. That's this one. But they're kind of trying to make us believe that the one that was the Hydra agent from before, he's the one that stole Steve Rogers, Captain America's face. So there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's necessarily a retcon or something that they're going to be addressing. Anyway, that was a lot of this book. We're also meeting our main villains, or at least it seems like our main villains in the story. I really enjoyed it. It definitely addressed things. It addressed Captain America and the stuff that has been going on with him, and it really has a neat look to the future. I dug it quite a bit. I'm really looking forward to the second issue. Last up this week we have Deadpool number 2. This is written by Scotty Young with fantastic art by Nick Klein. The art is just amazing. I personally am not that big a Deadpool fan. I am not a fan of the Merc with the mouth, but Scotty Young is writing a really good story. He does the jokes just fine. I'm digging that, but again, the artwork is spectacular. Deadpool is being hired by the Avengers to go and deal with some menace that only he can deal with. Again, the artwork is really good. It just, for some reason, it really sells me on the book. I hesitate to personally pick up a Deadpool book, but this one was excellent. I'm definitely gonna read the third issue. If you're a fan of the character or have been waffling about picking it up, you definitely should. This is the best Deadpool I've ever read. Every comic this week is a #1 issue, so pay attention. First up this week, we have Amazing Spider-Man #1 by Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley. For those of you that aren't familiar with these guys, Nick Spencer did Morning Glories for Image. He's done Captain America for Marvel, so he's familiar with this setting. Ryan Ottley, he's a longtime penciler on Invincible. This was an Image comic by Robert Kirkman. He does really good artwork, although I'm not totally sure if I'm going to enjoy him on Spider-Man. In fact, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to enjoy Nick Spencer on Spider-Man, but I am looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of the character, and Spencer usually writes funny stuff, so I'm hoping that the story and the art can live up to my expectations, although they weren't that high. I hope they're better than that. 1 week after Man of Steel #6, we have Superman #1. This is going to be written by Brian Michael Bendis still, with art by Ivan Reis. I enjoy his artwork quite a bit, and if it isn't Jim Lee at DC, it's him that is put on a book if the company thinks it's worthwhile. There's a few others, but Ivan's a big deal. Anyway, at the end of Man of Steel, we found out what happened to Lois Lane. We found out what happened to Jonathan Kent. And I don't want to blow that for you because we still have some Man of Steels in stock. Let's just say they ain't gonna be around for a while, and Superman's gonna be able to do whatever he wants to do, or basically whatever Bendis wants him to do, and that could be anything. So if you're a fan of Superman, or you just want to see him ruined by Brian Michael Bendis, this is definitely the book for you. Next up, we have Loeg Tempest #1. If you don't know what Loeg is, you have not worked in a comic book store. It stands for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and when we're doing the ordering, it says Loeg. This Tempest issue is the first part of a 6-issue miniseries, and unfortunately it sounds like it's going to be the last one of Loeg. And it also seems that Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill are going to end their careers in comics on this series also. I've been reading these Extraordinary Gentlemen's work for years, and I've really enjoyed them. It is sad to see them go. I am happy they're going out on their own terms, but again, it's sad. So if you have read any of the previous works of these guys, any of the previous leagues of these guys, or you just want to see Comic Masters work on comics one last time, this is definitely the series for you. It came out on a Wednesday as a brand new anthology horror series by Alterna Comics. They are known for their $1.50 newsprint comics. Although this one is going to be double-sized, it's going to raise in price to $1.99. So if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of anthologies, or you just want to read some new voices that you haven't seen before, this is definitely the book for you. Next up, we have Farmhand #1 by Rob Guillory. He was the artist on Chew, did the whole series. As far as I know, this is going to be his first job writing a comic book. He'll also be doing the art. And this is about a farm that grows human body parts, but underground lurks something insidious. That sounds like a story that I am looking forward to reading, and I know the art's going to be cool, so you should definitely check this one out. Last up this week, we have Orion, the trade paperback collection from DC Comics, written and drawn by Walt Simonson. These came out about 15 years ago, and if you haven't read them, you should definitely pick up this book. There were a lot of people coming in asking about New Gods materials in the store when there was an announcement about a New Gods movie. A lot of people will go towards the Kirby stuff, and although it is very good in look and idea, some of the stories aren't quite so good. Kirby really worked with coincidence a lot, and it doesn't always make for great stories. Walt Simonson, on the other hand, has the Kirby aesthetic illustrating-wise, and the stories are a lot tighter. And it tells the story about Orion defeating Darkseid and taking his place. The other thing that's great about this book is eventually there are going to be backup stories in the book and drawn by other illustrators like John Byrne and Eric Larson and Rob Liefeld and all sorts of people, still written by Walt Simonson. So, if you want to know about the New Gods, if you like Orion, or you just like Walter Simonson and haven't checked this book out before, you definitely need to pick it up. As always, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into another episode. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up over there. If you have any comments or want to talk to me about anything, let us know in the comments down below. And if you haven't, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, because who knows when we're going to put up another video. I mean, other than the one that you're watching right now and the one that comes out in the future like this. Anyway, see you next week.